Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the halftime show. The less said, the better at this point. And, I'll tell you that something is very interesting. And maybe it's just my age or the number of years that I've done this, but I don't care. I'm not even upset watching this. I'm just shaking my head and saying that this is totally unacceptable. I can also say that, believe it or not, we have fielded a team of ineptitude. These men were not ready to play today, and the Cowboys were. They're the home team. The fans should get their money back. The team isn't even trying. There's no running game. There's no blocking by the offensive line. There is no penetration by the defensive front. We're making Ezekiel Elliott look like he's young again. There's confusion in the secondary, giving up big plays. And they know what we're going to call before we call it defensively. The touchdown pass was a classic example of Dak Prescott immediately saying, okay, this is an all-out blitz. This is another Jim Schwartz special. I'm just going to throw it up in the air. And Juan Thornhill and whoever else was supposed to be in on the play wasn't in on the play, and that was it. The Browns offense, they have no offense. If I'm DeShaun Watson, I retire. I'd be done. Because nothing can happen with this bunch of flunky running backs and receivers. I mean, look, even when he throws the ball directly in the numbers, they drop it. Njoku dropping passes, Elijah Moore dropping passes, Jerry Jeudy dropping passes. It's everybody. All they have to do is cover Amari Cooper, and the other guys can't run a pattern anyway. That's really obvious to me. As far as DeShaun Watson is concerned, the only thing I can say about DeShaun Watson at this point is he was rolling to his left and tried to throw backwards, and he has no arm strength anymore. He's done. Look at his eyes. He's beaten. And what did it take? It took years of taking a beating in the press, emotional disturbance, and physically never recovering, nor mentally recovering from the beating he's taken since he's come to Cleveland. Take his money and spend it, have a good life, but be done. He's never going to be the same player that he was. It's obvious he just doesn't have it anymore. You're better off putting Jameis Winston in the second half and just calling it quits with Deshaun Watson. All right? That's just what my impartial eyes see. Does it matter with Jameis Winston? You're not going to win more than 7 games this year. Look at the offense. Is that Ken Dorsey's offense? Well, I mean, you've seen Ken Dorsey coach in the NFL. Does that look like his offense? It looks like the Kevin Stefanski offense to me. Everything's in slow motion. Everything is obvious where the ball's going to go because it goes within 6 to 8 yards of the line of scrimmage. And there is no new offense. That's just it. The same guy calling the plays. So, it's kind of like if you were eating something at a restaurant and there was something that you really liked on the plate and something that you didn't like on the plate, you would leave the stuff on the plate you didn't like, and the stuff that you like, you just eat all that. And, you're the one with the fork, so you choose what you eat. Now, if somebody else ordered that, they would eat the whole thing in its totality. We have a coach who just wants to do things his way, and it just doesn't work. Fans are booing. They're unhappy. I'd be unhappy if I paid to see this nonsense. Man, I got something in my eye. This is ridiculous. Ford isn't an NFL running back, and even if he were, what does he have in front of him? DeShaun Jones was jumping like Howdy Doody. Dallas is controlling the marionette, and he's flinching at the line of scrimmage. He saw Micah Parsons, and he shit himself. And we're seeing Ifedi in the game. We're seeing people on the line, both defensively and offensively, this constant rotation. But the one thing that's consistent is Jim Schwartz will give up big plays by just the suicide. I call it the suicide defense that even a child could read. We're making Dak Prescott look remarkable. And that's right, Greg, the obligatory offsides on Garrett Morris. It's really ridiculous. There isn't a single good thing to say. And the worst thing is this is a harbinger of the whole season. The Browns are the worst team. The Steelers are better than them because they play defense. I don't know what's happened, but these players were not mentally prepared, or they were not emotionally prepared to play this football game. You could see it from the very beginning. That's what I know. The only good news is we have 100 viewers simultaneously right now listening to me. I got that going for me. But, you've watched the show in the past, and I would be furious about this. But, something, let it go. I've reached a point where I'm finished. I just don't care what happens. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to talk about it. But you can only repeat yourself so many times. This team, they're on the downward slope. Can I make it any simpler than this? We have a bunch of old offensive linemen. And once you found out that all the bullshit that Mary Kay Cabbage had and her crew of cronies were carrying on Cleveland.com and all their videos of, they're going to rotate this guy and that guy, is going to be Conklin rotating in, both offensive linemen. Nope. Inactive. Which means it isn't just Jedrick Wills. Whoever's doing these knee procedures isn't doing a very good job. If I were Conklin, I'd retire. Enough. You can't play. If you did not make it to the first game and the first snap, just move on. Before you end up with brain damage, dude, get out of the game. Hey, John in the Meadows, how you doing? It's as far if you just had an MCL repair and you're still not playing, then somebody botched the surgery or you don't want to play. And Jedrick Wills has never struck me as being the kind of player who emotionally wants to be in the game. I think he wants to make the money, but he's just so low key. I think everybody was way off, Keith. We thought this was going to be a football game. Instead, this is like a bunch of junior high schoolers being steamrollered by professionals. And that's the sorry part of it. The sorry part of it is that they're so bad and they've regressed so much. This whole idea of bringing in a new offense doesn't make any sense. The head coach wasn't in on it, obviously, because he wanted to continue to call the plays. And nobody understands it, except the defensive team. They're on top of our receivers the second the ball gets there. And I can't blame DeShaun Watson for that. I know you want me to, but I can't. The bottom line is that they're waiting. And you notice how the Browns receivers are always standing still when the ball comes their way? You notice that when Dak Prescott beat the all-out blitz, he just lofted it up in the air and led his receiver, who ran right under it. None of our receivers are running when the ball's there. They're all set down patterns, and they stop, And it gives people a chance to jump the pattern because they know it's coming. It's unbelievable to think that this passes for an NFL offense. Hard for me to believe. I've never seen a first half of football that hasn't led a receiver while he was running in full stride. That everything, they stop in the middle of the field and get their brains blasted. And of course, they drop the ball. And Dallas is just salivating. And there's no speed at the wide receiver position, as I've said for the past 22 years. There's no speed at the wide receiver position to stretch the field, so they can just sit down on those receivers and clobber them. There's nobody open, Keith, anyway. The offense is designed to throw underneath every time. Every time. It's too bad. Stats don't matter. Nothing mattered for the opening kickoff. It was desire of the Cowboys against a flat, untalented Cleveland Browns football team. And just be prepared. Just be prepared. You've got 16 more games of this shit. Now, for those people who just despise DeShaun Watson, don't worry. He'll be hurt. I think in the second half of this game, he's going to be injured. He doesn't want to play anymore anyway. And I wouldn't want to play if I were him either. I mean, I want to just get the hell out of Cleveland and never come back there again, honestly. And as far as, Jameis Winston, put him in. What the hell? He'll get hurt too. Just like every year, all of our quarterbacks get hurt. Well, at any rate, I'll be back after the game to really talk about this more in depth. I hope you enjoy the third quarter if you're still with it. And don't use the remote to smash your TV in, or don't pull out a pistol like Elvis did and blow your TV screen out. It's just a game. I'll see you after the game. Until then, bye-bye now.